There's no need to be so surprised. My father was the one who asked for it to be built like this. Perhaps our taste in a gigantic and glamorous ship embodies discovery, opportunity, ambition, and conquest. It symbolizes Spina di Rosula's bright and limitless future.
And Paimon thought you were bluffing when you said Spina di Rosula had a... Paimon was confused why a group with such a history would live in... But now that Paimon has seen this ship for herself?
Well, Poisson is where Spina di Rosula began after... Melus, we're back!
Apologies for the wait, demoiselle, and our most important... You said before that you still had some business at the court.
About that. It's because my partner here reminded me of something really important. You see, you still remember, right, Melus?
Yes, the case was quite similar to that of Mr. Linney's.
Could you tell us a bit more about what happened before?
Yeah, of course. Many years ago, at a glance, it was a kind of drink that could excite your...
Wait! Didn't that guard guy who turned into water also mention...
Yes, he did. Considering what we know now, it's almost certain that synth is created using water from the primordial sea. If you drink synth for an extended amount of time, you'll suffer many side effects, such as and if you were to stop drinking it completely, you'll experience flashes of paranoia. As he oversaw Poisson, my father was compelled to put a stop to synth abuse.
Boss's uncompromising attitude incurred the synth vendor's wrath. But no matter how... Not only that, Boss became determined to find the master.
Yes, but the enemy was very cunning. Recognizing that, my father decided to The man's name was Jacques. He felt great that night. My father hosted a banquet, but then we heard two...
Huh? How did that happen?
Sounds just like Lenny's case, doesn't it? Looking back on it, though... Precisely. It's all... But, considering it now, you're right. We still don't know what happened.
Jacques was an empathetic man who was infinite. I think this third person is probably... On that note, however, even though our opponent is insidious and cruel, they are extremely difficult to deal. Even though Spina di Rosula has lost most of its former glory, Poisson has welcomed a new... There is no need to follow your father's path. It would be both wise...
If that's indeed what he wished for, then was I not the closest person to him? What was the point of him dying without sharing any of the secrets he knew? Did he manage? Synth is still here. Callous the unfaithful is still his epithet. Did he think I'd just accept his meaningless death and live out I've never accepted that. Ever. Not I want to find out the real answer for everyone.
Navia.
This is indeed the best moment to act. Your partner appears to be quite reliable, and more...
So you do know something else, Maloose.
Yes, I do. In fact, even before that banquet, Boss already knew of the connection between Sin. But what drove all...
What?
Boss also didn't tell you that... And the serial disappearances case caused... 5 years was nowhere near enough time to resolve this long-standing conflict. Knowing all of this, he decided to use one final intimidation tactic before his death. He claimed, but as long as you remain safe, he would not... If something were to happen to you, then he and all those he told...
Right. So nobody would be able to get off scot...
As we've seen, Boss's tactic has worked. Even though Boss has been...
No. I don't believe it. He never appeared to look...
No father wants their daughter to see them weak and haggard. Especially someone as proud as Boss. To him, dying in a duel and suffering lasting dishonor as the
So he chose to die inside...
I'm afraid you're not understanding this correctly, Demo. If Boss's spirit could hear you telling me that you... I'm sure he'd be
That fool. No. He might have set up everything precisely. Is that the amount of confidence he had in me? And what if I was never able to make it to where I am now? Yeah. I suppose that's true. But thankfully, he rarely talked to me about complex matters, and thus understood little of me as a person. Maloose, what was the key evidence that he shared with you?
It's the location where synth is produced. When he was threatening the enemy, Boss didn't But if you want to use it against the enemy...
Why? If we know where the place is, can't we just go storm...
You mustn't forget that we're fighting against a mysterious and there's no telling what might be lying in wait at their headquarters. But a single visit to their headquarters would be... The worst case would be that we leave empty-handed.
Then, in that case, why not work with the Fontейн...
Well, you saw one of them dissolve during Mr. Linney's case.
That's true. But things are different now.
You sound like you've put a lot of thought into this, Maloose.
I am the butler, after all. I've always been willing to take on any kind of risk for...
Thank you for all of that, Maloose.
Let me think. When I announced orders to the if the vendors didn't change their... After several rounds of testing and the first is Florent, Spina de...
Huh?
Yes, surprising, isn't it? He was one of the people Boss... Thanks to his position within Boss's innermost circle, there's someone else like him too. Marcel, the head of
Uncle Marcel.
It's a guild in Poisson. Boss helped it. In the beginning, they were only reselling some daily goods, but now...
So, they're like a sister...
Yes, you can say that. When we were fighting again, it's a bit difficult to imagine someone you...
The final suspect is Thierry, the man responsible for coordinating information between Spina de Rasul. Although the guards mostly leave us to our own devices, there are still many activities. Since Thierry is always in the know about our current activities...
I see. These are to think that the enemy we've been fighting against has been right next to me all along, among those I trust.
If you want to investigate them, please take every...
Of course. And thank you.
You're too kind, my lady. And before I forget, proving Boss's innocence. After that incident, Jacques' wife and daughter were taken into the Spina's care. If it might help, you could also pay them.
Aw, thank you so much, Maloose.
A new case awaits, my dear partner. I hope we can work together to uncover...
It is settled, then. Please...
Thank you for arranging...
Excuse me, miss.
Hey, Navia's all quiet. This isn't like her at all.
I'm sorry that I only came to visit after all this time.
If it's about that, there's no need to apologize. After my husband died,
But aren't all of those things nothing compared to the loss of Jacques? I can understand the kind of pain.
You don't understand at all.
I didn't know how to face you. Because I didn't know what I could possibly... I know only the full truth could bring closure to you.
I'm sorry. I appreciate the sentiment. On the matter regarding my husband, my daughter and I...
Would you mind sharing it with me?
I always knew that my husband's money was earned through others' suffering. He told me countless times that he had many regrets, and felt that he took the idea of providing for his family too literally. So when Mr. Callis came to him with a proposal, he tried to be as careful as he could. But even
They found out...
Papa didn't say that exactly, but Papa did tell me that I should never...
before he left that day, he told me that he had no choice. It was... I don't know that for sure, but you... Which is why I'm the one who should feel guilty. Callis had always taken even if he fired the shot that killed my husband. It was likely in self-defense.
But Mama, why is Papa Papa always wanted to be a good man.
Well, things aren't always as they seem.
Yeah, Papa was a
Then you should hold on to that. If a good man had to do regardless of whether he left you a parasol or a sword.
Oh.
Thank you for everything you've told me. I will definitely...
Thank you. I'm very grateful. Even though your personality is quite different from your father's, your determination when you speak is...
You really think so? That's the first...
Access denied.
Are you okay, Navia?
I'm fine. Don't worry. Let's investigate the 3 suspects next. Florent should be nearby, and we should be able to find Thierry and Uncle Marcel in the city. I'll get myself together on the way, so please don't worry.
Greetings, boss. How may I be of assistance today?
I'm sure you've heard about what happened at the Opera House?
Yeah, I've heard. With something that dramatic, I'm sure
It also reminded me, on the day that after my partner here put the dots together for me, can you do me a favor and try to recall what happened that night?
Let me think. Mr. Callis was... After that, he told us that he wanted to go get some fresh air. So we let him... My first reaction was that Mr. Callis's life was in danger. So I grabbed my holster, but when I got there, it was already too late. Mr. Callis was standing...
So you also remembered...
Indeed. The guard said that the first shot didn't hit anyone. Reason being, Mr. Callis had left his gun on the table. I even made sure to confirm that but according to the guards, that doesn't mean he couldn't have had... About the clothes left at the scene that you mentioned. Do you think there was a third person that...
At least from our perspective, my father had no reason to kill. So he would also have no... The gun he was holding probably belonged to Jacques, or a third person on the scene.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So you're saying Mr. Callis ended up with... But hold on. If that's what he didn't even want to face the Oratrice machine. And chose it. Did he lose all faith in the courts after seeing someone dissolve...
About that, Malouse told me a thing or two. So, I'll tell you everything.
I understand. Then, I'll leave Mr. And if I may just say one more thing. The whole Callis the unfaithful... Many people have laughed at me for still calling him Mr. Callis. But it was Mr. Callis's trust that allowed me to rise through the ranks of Spina di Rosula. No matter what others might say.
Don't worry. I will you and all our other comrades at the Spina...
It's just like teachers. You gotta invest best of luck before we can start our...
Hey, Thierry, it's me.
Oh, now, what brings...
Oh, so you've caught new...
Oh, okay. Hey, I'm also a member of the guard.
Are you sure there isn't a little bit of truth in that? Under normal circumstances...
I mean, where I work is really up to me. Let's just say I enjoy the ambiance of Poisson. Callis did a fantastic job running the town. It would be next to impossible for me to find a similarly... Anyway, enough chit-chat.
Ah, yes. What happened at the Opera House made us realize that Linny's case and my father's...
Ah, I get it. You think there might be more to the case now. If you want to go through the original files from your father's case...
That'd be much appreciated. Thank you. Actually...
Of course. Without them, I couldn't... Why do you ask? We definitely can't use them to forcefully get more
Well, you see, just recently, we were attacked by a horde. So, if you hypothetically wanted to do something against me, all you would...
Then you think too highly of my... If I had to make an analogy, when you order a dish, the chef will make it for you. You can ask the chef to cook. If you try to make unreasonable demands, the chef would just think you're out of your mind and ignore you completely. Removing a serial number is also not as easy as you might think. There are a lot of complex... So I can promise you, those mecha were definitely private. They're certainly not cheap. So, whoever their owner is must be super rich, powerful, or both. Now that you mention it, though, being...
Oh, then you're officially in the clear, Thierry.
Oh, well, jokes aside, I'll be staying in the city for a little while, so...
Hello. How may I help you?
I'm here to see Marcel. Could you please let...
Sure. I will let him know right away.
Navia, hello. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm not as young as I...
Oh, it's all right, Uncle Marcel. I just wanted to talk to you briefly about what happened in the Opera House.
Yes, I've never seen...
Oh, you were at the opera...
That's right. I went there with Navia to see the magic show. Who knew it would turn into... I also witnessed your marvelous sleuthing work. Quite impressive. To beat the Hydro Archon at her own game on her own turf, I can already imagine every...
Oh, Paimon doesn't want to become the talk of...
Apologies. It's just how Fontейн is as a nation.
Uncle Marcel, you've also noticed that other thing, right? The fact that humans can dissolve...
Yes. I was reminded of your father's case.
Exactly. I still don't have much solid proof, but...
Oh, and what...
We were attacked on Araneus by some unnumbered Gardamex. And there was also an attempt to get me to drink water. If not for the vigilance of my partner, I probably wouldn't even be here
Oh, you're giving us too much credit.
Alas, it seems things are heating up again. The peace that Callis sought so dearly will soon become... But rest assured, Navia, Poisson will always remain a safe haven for you. If anyone dares to lay their hands on you there, The Confrérie of Cabrières will use its funds.
Thank you, Uncle Marcel. But I don't intend to go into hide. Do you have any new thoughts on my father's case?
About that. Sorry, my age is catching up. The Confrérie was responsible for that banquet, so I was out and about the whole time making sure things were running smoothly. I didn't even have Then I heard the sound of a gunshot, and the rest was history.
Oh, it's okay. No need to push yourself. We'll ask around.
Sounds good. Just let me know if you ever... All my wealth comes from Callus's patronage and support. I'll spend however much it...
We've talked to all three suspects. Purely
None of them sounded particularly suspicious.
I suppose that's to be expected, though. If a single... Anyway, even though we didn't make a breakthrough, let's still compile what we were...
But where should we start? Ah, you're right! Flora mentioned that Callus probably only ended up with the gun.
According to Jacques' family members, he already told them that he had been discovered, and that he had no choice. If I had to guess, he probably received an order from the synth boss to kill my father. Had he refused...
So, Jacques fired the first shot?
Oh? And why is that?
Ooh, that's a good point. Jacques probably already knew that he was just being used as a tool for murder.
Huh. So, what would make more sense from his perspective would be to... Makes sense. But without evidence, besides Jacques, the attack from the Gardamex has been bothering me quite a bit as... It's obvious that our enemy has become more antsy after the...
Do you think he knew, even then, that we'd follow this lead?
Given everything that's happened since, it's quite... But who among the three suspects would have the ability to control privately owned Gardamex? Thierry, you say? Huh. It is possible that he's figured out a way, but I didn't feel like he was lying when he was talking to us about the mecha. I also don't think he'd be able to...
Yeah. Had he actually tampered with the mecha, we'd be able to prove it. If the mecha were taken from the guards, it should be pretty easy to find out when and...
Uncle Marcel? My father did really... And with funds from the Confrérie, he could also afford a large... It's still really hard for me to imagine, though. Also, wouldn't this mean he has been spending a whole lot of mora and energy to fight his own synth business? Florent? It is true that... But as Spina di Rosula's advisor, his work mostly deals with person...
So you're saying he's too broke to...
Exactly. He can't. And... who could it be? You know, if you think everything through...
Could we be missing other suspects? Malus didn't know about the people turning into water thing.
Malus has always been very reliable, and his judgment of others' trustworthiness has been fair and well considered. The suspect is knowledgeable about the Spina's internal affairs, has the means to Even if I don't want to believe it, I'm starting to see how things...
Well, we still have another trump card on top of all the theorizing and speculating.
Yes. Malus did say that we need far more solid proof before we can hope to go
Navia, here you are. Oh, I've been looking for you.
Huh? Aren't you the guy from the...
Yeah. News came from Irenaeus just after you left.
Wasn't that place built specifically for holding trials?
I know. But they said the person they're putting on trial is a Fatui harbinger called Tarta.
What?
Yeah, we know him.
Well, he's been accused of being the true culprit behind...
Wait, how? None of our...
That's what I thought was strange about it, so I came... If the charge against him stands, then it'll be next to impossible to get the guards to support...
Right. Because they'll think they've already found...
Yeah. And it'll be a lot hard.
I understand. Huh? Split up? What do you mean? Just as it... Since this is a trial about the serial disappearances case, the culprit's attempt... You're right. This is our best opportunity. I won't have any chance of making that charge stick, though, unless we find more evidence. It'll be...
We'll help you, just like you helped.
Demoiselle, please allow us to accompany you.
I'm ready.
Ah, Malou, Silver. When did...
We heard that you'll be leaving Poisson, and figured it's our hope that your confidence will be...
Thank you so much. Then, let's
See you then! Now that Navia has set out for Aranias, we should also get going. The location has already been marked on the map, so let's head over. According to Malusa's info, the synth production base is underwater. Let's go and try to find the entrance. Finally found it! So this is the entrance that leads to the synth production base. You're right.